everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel and today's project. We're always here to help you try to save money, do some DIYs, do repairs, and in general learn something. So this house is a rental house that we've had for some time, and we had a little trouble with the hose spigot. The lawn mowing service hit the spigot outside, broke a pipe, and the basement got wet. It's not a normal thing that would happen, but we had a real ugly drop ceiling that I went ahead and took down. And after I got that down, I started looking at the floor, and some of the tiles closest to that spigot had popped up off the floor. They were asbestos tiles, and because the water had popped them off, I could easily just collect them and dispose of them. I used to have a client that was an asbestos abatement official, and he basically just told me these guys go in wearing full body suits so that they're completely covered and protected with aspirators. Bags of things get taped shut, and they dispose of them pretty much in a dumpster with regular garbage. So the same stuff is going to the landfills. It's going to the earth. This is what I'm talking about, this kind of tile here. Usually they were from the 50s, green, brown, yellows, speckled. They look like bowling balls. And these tiles did not get wet. They're nice and stuck. And at one point I had carpet over the tiles in this side of the room. So I've got a carpet tape strip here. I'm gonna have to remove those two tiles, and these two here had popped off from getting wet. So I've got tools lined up. Knee pads. These Irwin knee pads are really thick and heavy, and because they're so dense with this thick rubber, it doesn't matter if you're on the face of your knee here or on the upper top part of your knee stretching. Double Velcro. My husband and I each use these. They are adjustable for different sizes. You know, he's got 100 pounds on me, and it doesn't matter. They fit us both. Floor scraping knife. I've got a floor scraping chisel that's long handled. You could use a Sharpie for marking my new tiles, a retractable utility knife. This is one I picked up at a hardware like lumber yard, and it's really awesome. It's more ergonomically designed, and it has extra blades stored in the handle. Much easier to change than those ugly silver ones that are at the hardware store. I got myself a bright green one once because I kept losing the silver ones in my bag. And wouldn't you know, that's the one my husband chose to do roofing. So that job just got finished, and we know the house is totally dry. There's not gonna be any issues with anything getting wet, so it's time to move on. This is a tile cutter, and it's like a paper cutter or a guillotine. It's really great for 12-inch tiles. Now that being said, these are 12 by 12 vinyl peel and stick tiles. All of these new click lock floors have this same material over the top with generally MDF on the bottom, which isn't going to work in a basement unless it's entirely waterproof. I shopped, I looked around. We had these left over from doing this kitchen, and anything's better than this. And these days, with these nice area rugs, this is gonna keep the basement cool and nice. It's direct stick. I'm not having to worry about a subfloor. And if you wanted to do subfloor, I noticed at the store the other day, they have basically strand board or particle board with a plastic backer that raises the subfloor up off. It gives you a little bit of warmth and insulation. And then there's another one with a pink styrene base attached to it as well. So that is a good way to go to keep the basement from getting too cold. In the south and in those warmer climates, I could see how, like a Florida house, this would be really great. So these are Armstrong tiles, and I believe they have like a 30-year warranty on them. I haven't, let's see, this says copyright 2006 on this. We have had these for a long time. Each box does 30 square feet, and yeah, lifetime residential warranty, 6 years in commercial. We love them because if there's a problem, you can pop out one tile. We have a lot of work going on in here, and I figured this is a good time to get this basement done. It's summertime. My kids always use the workhouses, the rest of the house while we're working in one room. So basically I'm getting this set up as a playroom for them ahead of time. I picked up for free on Facebook. I think it was like $30 or $40. These are 16-foot baseboards. Somebody had them left over from their build. They just wanted them out of the way. I didn't have a trailer or a truck long enough to pick them up. They showed up. They delivered them to me because they were in the same town. They said, just take them. We're so glad somebody could use them. And they're real wood. They were already primed. So I set them up right from them delivering on sawhorses in the garage and got them painted, and then moved down to the basement ready for an install. So the first thing I have to do is get these tiles off that have the carpet sticky tape on them. I actually had like a double-faced carpet tape stuck here, and rather than try to clean that off, I'm just using my floor scraper to get it off. And being that it's the basement, cooler temperature, it comes off reasonably well. Not easy, but reasonably well. And I just want to make sure I don't run into the tile next to it. So I'm just kind of lifting at the same time, and that's why I'm not using the floor scraper, the long handle floor scraper at the same time, because that's enough effort to get that off without causing more damage. So this is totally junk, put aside, and this is nice and good. Now, you want to make sure that you've cleaned everything really well. You see I've got my shop vac sitting here. I will put a link in the description for my shop vac and my knee pads, the tools that I'm using, because I think it's really helpful to order and have things show up, especially if you're like me, where you're large family and it takes forever to get through the home improvement store. It seems like ever since my kids were small, we've always been doing these projects, and it doesn't matter which store we're at for these large home builder stores. You get to the very back, the bathroom's at the front, and the little people that are with you say that they need to go to the bathroom. So if I don't have to take them, if I don't have to buy snacks and drinks and just have things show up at my door, it works out really well. So I'll share that link with you down below. We're gonna clean this surface so that the sticky residue from the previous tile isn't here anymore. Goof on, goof off, anything like that. Give it just a quick cleaning and go over the entire floor with the shop vac. Even if you have to do it as you go, I've already done this once and I keep seeing just little bits. So it's a really good idea if you had something on the floor also to take, this is threaded on one end, broom handle, attach it to it, scrape your whole floor, then go around with the shop vac and do it again, because you're going to get a longer life adhesion out of your tiles by doing that, rather than being concerned with the dirt making it not stick. So every time I lay a tile, I'm keeping this ready to go, you know, an area at a time, and I'm just going to keep scraping that up, because those asphalt old tiles, they actually use a really thick like asphalt glue or stickiness to them, and if you can get some of that off, you'll get a nice even surface for sticking and adhering your new tile. So I forgot to talk about cost and why I'm doing this, besides that they were left over. This was 30 square feet for $29.70 back in the day. So we, like I said, that copyright said 2006. I'm not sure if that's when we put the floor in upstairs, but it was a heck of a deal, and these were super cheap per box with lots of rental properties. The square tiles worked really good, because if somebody were to drag furniture across the floor, then you could pop one of these off. We knew of another landlord. They went ahead through the entire house and put 12 by 12 basic porcelain tiles in, and in the kitchen, every time somebody dropped something, they would lose a tile, and that meant going through with a grinder, cutting out the grout, laying a single tile, hoping it would match, hopefully he had enough extras, you know, over time. And that's the kind of stuff that comes out of people's deposits. However, most people during that time were eviction move-outs, and there was no deposit to be had for the repairs. So that's a real bummer to go into a kitchen that a lot of furniture, or even if it was an uneven floor, that can make a tile rock and crack. So we never went with anything other than vinyl, and now vinyl has made this huge comeback. They even have these cut in strips that are like 6x12s, I believe, and 6x3, so that you can do different patterns and different designs. That's why I'm doing that. Now, I've recently been looking at some floor tiles that they're clearancing out. We recently got enough real hardwood flooring for like $1.25 a square foot for our own home. And I was checking out the porcelain tile section, and they had porcelain tiles for 25 cents a square foot. I can't do vinyl plank flooring on a house this size or multiple houses and keep renting them out or having kids destroy them or whatever. So you want to do it as cheap as possible and have it something that will last, durability, and cleanability as well. So I don't want to get in a situation with, like I said, the vinyl plank flooring has this MDF that is manufactured density fiber board. It's like what's in Walmart furniture and in the bottoms of dresser drawers. It will soak up moisture from any humidity. You can hear I have a dehumidifier running here in the room right now. It's taking out like 4 gallons a day right now, just due to the basement being summertime dampness going on. So not having to deal with that kind of material is right up my alley, because I'm not gonna have to worry about moisture with this. The only thing that the manufacturer recommends is don't let the temperature of the room that you're using it in drop below 50 degrees. So like if you're going to winterize a house, maybe not such a great idea. We have winterized this house before, and I have it in the basement and on the main floor, and it did not affect it at all. So a nice thing about using this kind of floor, if you look on different websites about color lots and things of that nature, a lot of times you can get that even with going amongst several stores. So I wanted to do just a temporary quick layout to see where I was going to end up when I got to the other side of the room as far as cutting your tile, because it really is unfortunate to get to the end and have a skinny little strip. And what I'm going to end up over here is this utility room has a painted floor, and we just use Dutch Boy porch and floor paint. You know, maybe eventually you could add texture or whatever, but you can see here going into this little utility room, I'll use a half a tile here, and then we'll put down a transition strip when this gets a final coat. So we just went with a paint that complements this. It's kind of like tan here with cream and gray throughout. So I'm going to use almost a full tile when I get to my outer edge. When you do your layouts for a floor, you want to make sure that you are doing this so that you're not having teeny tiny strips. I'm actually continuing on from another room, so if I was going to have to do smaller cuts, it's just what I would have to do. But if you were going from a starting point in a room, you would start from like the center of the room or the focus point and work your way out. Some people start in a corner and they just start doing 1 tile, then 2 tiles, then 3 tiles, and 4 and 5 on a diagonal, and work your way across the room. Because I am starting from this point here, I'm having to do my repairs here, and then I'm going to work my way this way across the room. And then when I get this all done, I'm gonna go that way And I'm gonna get that all done and continue on. There's a small closet area behind there, and I'll have the whole floor done. This is like 230 square feet for this room. So I'd say we're really lucky to be able to have this much surplus material on hand to be able to do this. And any color furniture and rugs is going to go well with it, and it's going to be an improvement. Now, there's basic instructions on your box, but see that arrow right there in the center? That is your pattern that you want to follow. So every tile that goes down, you want that arrow facing in the same direction. And like with wood grain patterns, basically what this is a picture of tiles printed on this vinyl. And then you're going to duplicate that picture and not get off in your dimensions and sizes. And it can be very fractional. But you make too many mistakes over time, they're gonna all stand out huge, and there's only so much you can do with trimming to even things out. I have had rooms that I've gotten across the room and suddenly been off because I stopped paying attention to that pattern. So as I showed before, you're doing a step pattern as you go. So now my next tile is going to be here, and then my next one here, and you keep going across the room. And like I said, I'm not working from the corner of the room, I'm working from that doorway entrance over there where I had to patch in and match that floor pattern to come into here. Otherwise they'd just all be off and there'd be no lining it up. It wouldn't matter if you weren't matching that pattern. And I have my boxes here along the edges. Where I had carpet double-faced tape along the edges, they have a little harder time sticking. So for that like first contact, I've done this with a floor roller. I've done it with a rolling pin. Today I'm just using a rag and rubbing that back and forth over each tile, and you get pretty good adhesion. They recommend not like walking all over the floor after you've had this done for a day or so. The basement's cool. The upstairs is quite warm and humid, so this is a great job for today. But as I'm going, I'm just grabbing another box and putting it over the edges of 4 tiles so that it stays contacted down as I'm going. Now, if I was doing this on a subfloor instead of something that had been here before, they would just bond and stick, no problem. There would be no issue of sticking, you know, any kind of counterweight on top. So right now we're just cutting the tile, and I've just got it marked here on the edge where I'm gonna do it. Let's see, I don't know what you're gonna say. I need 2 hands. All right, now I've got a good clean cut edge on my side. Followed. Always double check before I take the sticky off the back because of 2 reasons. I'm trimming here so that I'm not touching the wall. I want to leave a 1/4 inch gap or so, and the gaps are going to be covered by trim. So see here, I'm just staying slightly away from the edge, and that looks really good. I am getting there. It is almost quitting time. Get into these cuts around here, around the door trim. It's a real good idea to use a multi-tool to cut under there and eliminate that. I'm gonna save that hard work for tomorrow. I'm just gonna lay these whole tiles here. And the guy who built this house, the owner, was the builder. And it is perfectly square, and it is perfectly measured on the 12s. A lot of times you don't end up with that. I got whole sheets, whole 12 by 12 tiles here on the edge with my 1/4 inch gap. It's pretty much an 1/8 to 1/4 all the way around, but this is how it's going. It's coming along. I just kept doing that grid pattern, that step pattern right here Throwing all my garbage to the center of the room, and I'll tell you why. The sticky back protection that comes off, it's like wax paper, it is slick. So if you throw it all in a pile on here and you have to get up and go walk for your knife or another box, you're gonna fall on your can. So these are gonna sit here overnight. I still have 2 more boxes that I can work from to keep going, but I only need about 8 more squares to be finished. This is about halfway through day 2. I took about an hour lunch and I've been working on it for about 3 hours total. A lot of the 3 hours was I was almost 45 minutes over in this section. 6 out of 10 of my tiles needed to be cut precisely around the door frame because the old flooring would not chisel out underneath it, and because it's asbestos tile, I have to very gingerly cut and trim around the edges because that multi-tool will make dust releasing asbestos. To cure any gap like that around those edges, I'll show you over here. Doing a miter cut or anything right here with quarter round is really hard to do. So around my edges, I usually just do a little bit of caulk that matches the flooring. So I'm saving all my cutoffs and scraps like I showed you before for doing, you know, this is that complicated area for cutting. Really slowed me down today, but my doorstop is on the other side. The door opens into this utility room. So I'm saving all my cutoffs right here where it's darker to be able to go into that room. And baseboard tomorrow, second coat of paint, cleaning, taking curtains home today. I have still got 4 unopened boxes and I've got stacks sitting. So I've probably got 4.5 to 5 boxes at this point, allowing me still enough to do repairs in a bathroom upstairs because we're switching from a vanity cabinet to a pedestal sink, and it has the same floor tiles, and we installed those originally new when we bought this whole stash of tiles. Well, I am last day working on my floor. I've got my baseboards all on. I just use, like I said, these free baseboards. Some of them are perfectly straight, or the floor has dips and valleys and isn't perfectly straight. Quarter round can always help out with that, or if somebody ever were to carpet later, you don't see any of that. I'll just go back with some white caulk and it will be all invisible. So my floors are done and I can move on to the ceilings. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.